Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know a lot of my channel is gaming related stuff, but the majority of my viewers and people who comment on my videos are people who have seen my videos about having a microdiscectomy. I'm from the UK, went through the usual NHS system. I didn't use a private hospital or anything like that, and it's been 4 years, just over 4 years since that happened, and I thought I would make a new video and give you an update on where I've been, what's happened, and basically where I'm at now. I didn't want to make this video like 1 year after the surgery because I wasn't stable enough to understand everything that was going on, and I didn't want to make a video and go, you guys will be alright. It's a long journey, and I've been stable enough now to confidently tell you how things are with me, and I hope that my video and my videos can help you in your road to recovery as well. So I'm going to go for a little backstory. So late 2015, it was around about July, August time, I started to get a bit of back pain, and it was nothing unusual. It was your average, feeling a bit of back pain, I'm going to take it easy for a few days, and I didn't think anything of it. Then as the weeks went on, the pain started to get just a little bit more unbearable every day, to the point where you go, okay, I need to go to the doctor. That morning that I got up, I was brushing my teeth, and I didn't think anything of it. I thought I was stood up perfectly straight, and I looked in the mirror, and I was stood like this. I had the big curve in my spine. As you can see, the belly overhang there, that was because my back was arched so much forward and to the side. I couldn't actually control this left leg to straighten out. It was bent at the knee, and I had no control over it. I didn't feel it. It was just back pain at this point. So I went to the doctor straight away after seeing that, and he started me on the whole sort of physio, yoga, swimming exercises that you would get for any kind of back pain. And I can see why they did it. It was to sort of hopefully something might ease off and I could go back to the way things were, but this was definitely more serious than that. So after I'd say about 2 months, I was getting worse. I'd gone from, your average paracetamol, ibuprofen. I'd gone up to morphine very quickly. I was using certain antidepressants, which are used for spinal injuries, to help calm nerves. I then went to muscle relaxants, and eventually ended up on fentanyl, which is really high on the opiate scale. Um, and at that point, I had an MRI, and this was the image that I ended up with. And as you can see here, these are your discs, these are your vertebrae, this is the spine. These are well hydrated discs, not very hydrated, and as you can see, there's so much pressure here, it's beginning to bulge out, and this thin sort of grey line here is the spinal cord, and as you can see, can I zoom in? It was very heavily impinging on my nerve, and so was this one. But this one was so severe that I don't think this made any difference. And basically over time, this must have got worse since first going to the doctor to this image, because I then began to lose control of my lower right leg. I couldn't lift my toes. I struggled to plant the foot when I walked. I could very easily go over my ankle, and it was just a very bad time, a very bad time in my life. At this point, the doctor decided to go, right, you are to stay at home and do nothing. And to be honest, that's all I could do. I was so high on the drugs, I couldn't do anything. I tried to go to the shop in my car one day. I ended up in hospital because I was halfway getting out of the car, lost control of everything, and I couldn't cope. So the person who came out seen me lying on the floor underneath my car, calls the ambulance, and another couple of shots of morphine, and I get sent home. So that is basically what happened. I then went on a waiting list to have a surgery. I went to, I can't remember the name of the hospital. It was the main hospital in Stevenage. I waited around 9 months. I was on quite a big waiting list. I rang them pretty much every week, hoping someone had cancelled. And then they give you a date. You go down 24 hours before, and they go over some preliminary things. You sign some paperwork. They give you a Hibby scrub to wash with. It's the cleanest you will ever be, but it's not great stuff. It doesn't feel good. It's not your nice shampoo and conditioner softness. And then you don't eat for 6 hours before, which for me, I was going in at 9 o'clock, so that meant when I went to bed around 12 midnight, that was the last time I would eat. And you could drink up to 4 hours before, if I remember rightly. So I had the surgery. It lasted 3.5 hours. If I just take you back to this image, it lasted 3.5 hours, and they basically came in through here, and they opened up an incision here, and they cut this bulge out, and that was pretty much it. And I ended up like this. This was after, actually, I had the staples taken out. This is the image you wanted. I'd say this, to give you a perspective, is probably 10, maybe just less than 10 centimeters. So it wasn't exactly keel. And the reason that they only cut the one thing out was because after 3.5 hours, it is hard for them to keep your body temperature in. And basically, the plan was to remove this bit as well here. Make that a bit bigger for you. They was going to remove this bit as well, but to get from the incision they had here and then down, it was taking too long. So they had to cut the operation from there. So say it was 3.5 hours. I woke up in ICU. I had the heated blanket on me, and it took them, from the minute I woke up to being out of ICU, was probably about an hour. It could have been less. I was still pretty high off the anaesthetic. And the only reason I was in there was because of my body temperature was so low. They also wanted me to urinate before I went onto the ward. But as a bloke, I struggle to pee lying down. I needed to either sit on a toilet or stand up. And they wanted to just sort of roll me onto my side in the bed and pee into a cardboard tubes. I don't know what you call them. And I was struggling. I was struggling really hard, and because of the time that I was in ICU, and obviously I'm not critical care anymore. They said, right, we need you out of here. So if you don't pee, we're going to put catheter in. Now I was adamant I could sit up and pee just off the side of the bed. It took 4 nurses and the doctor to agree to it because I was not having a catheter down there. So they sat me up enough so I could pee a little bit, and then I went onto the ward. I was on the ward for 3 days. I had a physio come every day. She would get me to walk a little bit, and by the second day, I had full mobility of my right leg, and I was basically walking, but because I'd not walked in a little over 9 months, or had the feeling in my right leg to walk for 9 months, it was so tiring. Honestly, whilst I was in the hospital, I walked from my bed to the end of the ward, which was 20 meters, 30 meters at most, and back. And that was me. I would sleep for 6 hours. 6 hours uninterrupted. Now, if any of you are going through this, you'll know that sleeping is an issue anyway with any kind of pain, not just back pain. And I was sleeping like 2-3 hours here, maybe an hour in the afternoon, maybe 2 hours. This is why most of my channel is gaming, because I was gaming like 20 hours a day. So what else could I do? But when I started walking, I was just exhausted. But every day I wanted to just do a little bit more, but not, revert back. So you make it to the stairs. One day I did 5 stairs, and one day I made it out to the canteen on the ground floor. And then they decided to discharge me and send me home. So when I got home, as I said, I just tried to up it a little bit every day. I made it to the end of the drive, I made it to the end of the road, I made it to the local park, and then there became a point where I could walk for an unlimited amount of time, but what happened was I couldn't stop. So if I decided to walk 6 miles, which I did one day, which was a bit risky at the time, I could never stop and sit on a park bench because the transition for me was quite painful. And if I'd have sat down, I would struggle getting back up, or I would just be so exhausted I couldn't walk anymore. And obviously being so far from home, your only choice is to call a taxi. But I did that for about 3 months, and I started getting quite confident. My medication I stopped the day I got home. I went cold turkey. They said to cut down on the fentanyl. I was on these like nicotine patches. They're about this big. They're a certain dosage, but you can cut them up and make them smaller dosages. And I cut one. I cut a third off one on the first day, and I got the sweats. I was going cold turkey. I was going withdrawal symptoms is what word I'm looking for. And I just couldn't cope. So I said to myself, there's no point in weaning off this because it's just going to prolong them effects, in my opinion. So I just went cold turkey, and the only thing that I kept up was the paracetamol and ibuprofen, just to take the little bit of edge off. But all the hard stuff, the morphine and everything. I went cold turkey. Probably one of the hardest things I ever did, because after that I couldn't eat. I barely drank. Constantly hot and cold sweats. I think this went on for about 3 weeks. And eventually I started to get over it. I lost 16 kilos in that process, and it really wasn't healthy. But that's the kind of guy I am. If I'm gonna get up tomorrow morning and I'm going to, like when I was a teenager, I want to quit smoking. I'm gonna quit. That's it, cold turkey. I'm never doing it again. So that was very hard, and I did that before I went back to work. If you don't know what I did, I was in the military, and when I felt comfortable enough that I could travel back to the base and sit in an office chair, because I knew that would be all I would do. I went back and I seen the doctor, and they put me back on the physio, and it was very, very light, like walking in a pool or using one of them exercise bands, stretches. And I did that for a further few more weeks, and then they sent me to the military hospital recovery centre down in Headley Court, which is now moved to Stanley, somewhere in Leicestershire. And I did a 3 weeks sort of intense program where you have a physio appointment every day, and you're followed around by other physios, and you just exercise all day. Could be anything from like yoga to spinning on the exercise bike, or trying to run again on a treadmill. They had the zero gravity treadmills, which are really cool actually. So you could basically put as much weight down as you wanted, or just run in zero gravity. And I did that, and I came back to work, and then I had a bit of a high because I'd worked for 3 weeks non-stop, almost risk-free, because the amount of medical staff that are there to pounce on you when something goes wrong. I had this like, I can get back to full fitness. I'm gonna go and start putting 15-20 kilo on my back, and I'm gonna go and do the fitness test that they want me to. And it was a bit of a bad choice, because at the time I could do them things, but I couldn't recover from them. And that's that. If now I look back on it, that's my body telling me, you can't do this anymore, Nico. You can't. You keep doing this, you're gonna go back. But I ignored it, and I went away on this exercise, and something else happened. I ended up breaking my arm, completely unrelated to the back pain, but obviously I was off again for a bit of a recovery. I came back to work, and they said, do you want to go back on the rehab course? Same thing, but a bit more local. I said yeah, because it was really good last time, and I went off to do it again. And the same thing happened. I came back, I was on such a high. I felt fitter than I've ever been in my life, especially after the motivation that they give you there. And I jumped back into it, straight into military PT. Yep, no problem. I can do 50 press ups and do 2-hour circuits and this and that. But come Friday, I was on my bed all Saturday, half a Sunday. Monday, trying to get up for work was a real issue. So I was really lucky to have them programs in place, but what's taken me this long to make this video is how you bounce back from this, because you're not gonna have surgery and just be like, yeah, surgery's done. I'm just going to go back to the way things were, because it's took me a solid 2 to 3 years to finally understand what my body's trying to tell me, and I have to make some life decisions here. Otherwise, I'm going to end up like this guy. And I look back on this image today and I think, I can never go back to this. I can never be this guy again. And the biggest and hardest decision I ever made was I had to leave the army. There were other issues of why I wanted to leave, but the main one was that when you're in the military, you have the guys around you, and majority of them are fitter than I am. And if you're not fit, or you're, unable to do things because of an injury, or an illness, you're almost looked down upon, and you will never be a soldier in their eyes. And this could be your boss, it could be your colleagues, it could be guys who are also beneath me. So you sort of live in this mentality that I must get back to full soldier, full fitness soldier. I must do it. And as I proved, every time I tried, something else happened. I broke my arm, or I rolled my ankle and now my knee hurts, or I had to spend all Saturday in bed because not my spine, but my back muscles are killing me because they're not used to being exercised this much again. And just generally ignoring the way things are. So I decided to leave, and it's probably, I think, the most defining thing that will save me from being that guy again. Because now, as a civilian, I take time to look at my posture. I mean, look at my chair. I've got a full back support because I know I need it. I'm not in pain now, but I need the posture to be right, because otherwise when I go to bed and I transition from sitting to laying, I'm in pain, and then I don't sleep. And then when I wake up the next morning, I have to go sit in a van and drive to work. And because I've had an uncomfortable night, my muscles are more tired than usual, and then the pain it keeps rolling over. So now that I left that job, I take more time to look at my posture through sitting, standing, driving, riding my bike, carrying the shopping. If there's something that can be used at work to carry something for me, I'm going to use it 100%. I can, and I still do sometimes, and I know I shouldn't. I'll get some dog food delivered, 20 kilo bag of dog food. I'll just be like, yeah, I'll just pick it up, throw it over my shoulder. And even though I do it, I use 100% correct method. Bend at the knees, not the back, get all the way down, pick it up, carry it close to your body. The old me would just throw it over his shoulder, probably lopsided like this, and carry it. And what I'm trying to tell you out of this video is your life is not going to be the same as it was, and that is the bad news. But the good news is you have the chance to make your life better, because this guy here, he didn't take care of his body. He didn't always use the correct manual handling, or he didn't use the correct posture. He probably ran, that I know now, with flat feet. He probably ran in some bad trainers. That's why I always had knee problems. Everybody's different. It might take you 6 months to a year. It took me 2 years to understand what my body's trying to tell me. and now I have put my body first, and my what my body says to me rules my life. If my friends want to go into town and say, "Ah, come on, Nico, let's go out for some drinks," and I'm having slight niggle in the knee or back or neck or anything, I then have to think to myself, is my body going to be hurting tomorrow, or can I go out and safely sit, stand, party, or whatever it is without any issues? And it's only after that amount of time that you can sort of take that second to process everything and go, I can, I can cope with this. And if you can take anything away from this video, it will be put your body first, because the amount of pain that you may have now, whether it gets worse or better, you can never go back to what the peak is. I could never go back to that guy. And now, 4 years on, I'm comfortable to say that I live the best life I can. I'm fairly healthy. I'm not as fit as I was back then, but as an average civilian, I'm okay. I eat healthier, and I put more time into my just general health and posture, the way you sit when you drive, the way you sleep in your bed. Make sure you get the right mattress for you. If you've got knee issues as well as a back issue, get a knee brace. I had it for a little bit, it helped, and now I didn't need it, so I don't use it. But yeah, 4 years on, I'm probably a year to 2 years into understanding what I need to not revert backwards. And I still get back issues. I still sometimes need to take some medicine, and I'm on the lowest dosage cocodamol, and that is all I need. I don't take more than I need. But yeah, it's going to be a long journey. Might last a lifetime, might not. Whatever it is that you're going through, just look after yourselves, and try to understand what is best for your body, because your mind might say you can do it, your body will tell you otherwise, whether it's immediately or a week later. And the biggest problem for me is I'd forget after the week what I'd done and what my body's saying, and I'm just thinking, oh, I slept funny, but no, last week I was lifting sandbags, and that's why I'm hurting now. Your back is very delicate, and it sometimes it can take time to fatigue from something that you've done. And yeah, I'm gonna stop there because I'll just keep going on. Guys, I hope you like my video. This is probably the last time that I'm going to talk about this, unless something changes. Touching wood, nothing does. So if you never see another one of my videos, I'm exactly how I am today. I'm all good. I put my back first, and everyone gets back pain. How you cope with it, how you deal with it, and always support yourself. Oh, and another thing that's helped me loads is do a lot of core exercises, a lot of abdomen strengths, planks, sit-ups. I can't really do sit-ups because of the way the surgery went, but I do a lot of planks, I do a lot of obliques, Russian twist type things. Them things will help you no end, but as well as stretching, hamstrings, calves, buttocks, but also shoulders, arms, just general yoga stretches. They're the things that help me the most. So please give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and if you've got any questions, leave me a comment. If you are asking a question and not just leaving a comment, I will get back to you 100%. It's probably worst stages of my life, and I understand it. So if you're going through something similar, you have any questions, please message me. I will 100% get back to you. So guys, look after yourselves, and whatever it is you're going through in life, I hope you come out better at the end of it. Thank you very much.